It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the films of September 27th, 2002. Only 3 films to look at today, so let's go ahead and jump on into it. And we'll start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, and if I might channel my inner Leonard Skinner here, let's take a look at Sweet Home Alabama.
Oh my God.
Melanie Carmichael is getting married.
Will you marry me? Yes. Yes. Yes.
But there's only one thing standing in her way.
Would you mind if we just kept this to ourselves for a few days?
Her husband.
How can I help you? To get down here and give me a divorce.
This February,
You and I are in love with the same girl.
First Love gets a second chance.
I'm happy in New York, but then I come down here and this.
Reese Witherspoon, Sweet Home Alabama. Own it on DVD with a bonus alternate ending.
Sorry, it had to be done. But, Sweet Home Alabama. Reese Witherspoon stars as an up-and-rising fashion designer in New York who's gotten almost everything she's wished for in her life since she was little. She has a great career, the JFK-like fiancé of New York City, but when he proposes to her, she doesn't forget about her family back down south. More importantly, her husband back there, who refuses to divorce her ever since she sent divorce papers 7 years ago. To set matters straight, she decides to go to the South quick and make him sign the papers. When things don't turn out the way she planned them, she realizes that what she had before in the South was far more perfect than the life she had in New York City, and blah, 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 blah. How many romantic comedies have we seen with this exact same plot line? And, I guess the noteworthiness about this particular film is that it was actually the first film shot in New York City after September 11th, so I guess there's that. But other than that, though, this movie is something that we've seen done over and over again, and quite honestly, it's really nothing that different. I mean, it's literally the same movie we've seen done over and over again with this exact same plot. You know what's going to happen. Reese Witherspoon's going to realize that, oh, shoot, my life back in the South was actually pretty good. Maybe I should change my whole life again. And then you're going to have the third act breakup, and then you're going to have the realization that, you know, everything that she had before was perfectly fine before she moved to New York, and you know what's going to happen. And unfortunately, the film suffers from a lot of predictability and nothing too new or original with it. And it just falls apart right from the get-go. And yet, with all that said, it was still one of the biggest hits of the year. In fact, at the time, it was actually the biggest September opening weekend of all time, and made over $130 million in the U.S. alone. It made $180 million worldwide, so it made $53 million everywhere but in the U.S. That should tell you everything you need to know, that even the people around the globe did not really care for this movie, but apparently everybody here in America loved it. And in fact, so much so that it still gets airtime on TV. Like, you can't go on FX or, you know, Freeform every month or so and not see at least one airing of Sweet Home Alabama there. And quite frankly, I just don't get it. Like, I've tried so many times to watch this movie and think, okay, maybe this will be the time I finally get into it. Maybe this will be the one where I see where everybody is coming from. But, nope. Nope, Reese Witherspoon is too good for a movie like this. And sadly, she's made a couple of these movies where she really is giving it too much of her all, despite the fact that the rest of the movie is not really all that great. In fact, the same writer actually wrote, I was about to say a New in Town, which is not a Reese Witherspoon movie, but it's pretty much the same concept as this. I mean, that one had Renee Zellweger in it, and that one was even lazier because it was a lame PG-rated romantic comedy. At least this one had the balls to be PG-13, and like I said, there have been comedies where this has worked before, where you have a predictable storyline, but there's at least an edge to it. The Proposal is a perfect example of that. You have Sandra Bullock and Ryan Reynolds, where they have to go from their city life to a more countryside, not specifically countryside, but more of a laid-back lifestyle than they're used to dealing with here. And you know the tropes are going to be there, but the chemistry between Bullock and Reynolds and the story overall works better in that film's favor compared to this movie here, where there's nothing really all that interesting or engaging, and you can't really get behind any of the two guys that Reese Witherspoon's involved with here. Like Josh Lucas, there's nothing really that great about him. Patrick Dempsey is just McDreamy before McDreamy came on Grey's Anatomy, and it's just not a good film. It's just a film that's just so bland, so forgettable, and you expect so much more from the people that are involved in this, but there's just nothing there. I mean, every time I try to watch this movie, I always give it the benefit of the doubt, and then it's never the same thing. It's never anything different from what I had before. It's a lame movie that doesn't really have a whole lot there, and it's just bland. It's a bland movie with too many good people involved, too good of a director involved. This is Andy Tenton, who later will go on to direct a couple of decent films with Hitch, which I thought was surprisingly really good. And he also did Anna and the King before this, but he followed that up with Fool's Gold and then The Bounty Hunter, and then his career kind of took a nosedive after that. So yeah, this should probably be a warning sign to stay away from anything after Hitch. So, but yeah, not much more to say about this one. Sweet Home Alabama, it's just kind of a bland movie. I don't get the appeal of it. Sorry, I just don't get it. So that is Sweet Home Alabama. Let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, which is Jackie Chan and Jennifer Love Hewitt in The Tuxedo.
Jackie Chan can do almost anything. How? But when he puts on a $2 billion tux,
Tactical uniform experiment.
he can do everything.
Injection.
Little James Brown.
Jackie Chan,
Hey, pal, my suit.
Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Ah!
The Tuxedo, rated PG-13, starts tomorrow everywhere.
Talk about one of the weirdest movies I've ever seen. I remember going to see this movie in the theater, thinking that I was going to get a fun, high-concept, lighthearted comedy where you have, Jackie Chan. It's basically a spy parody that involves him gaining the ability to wear a special tuxedo that gives its wearer special abilities. It also involves a corporate terrorist threatening to poison the United States fresh water supply with bacteria that spills electrolytes into the blood and totally dehydrates the host. Which don't get me wrong, I could have sworn this was the exact same plot of Dorio's character from the Flintstones of Viva Rock Vegas. The actor who plays Dorio in The Mask, he was in the Flintstones of Viva Rock Vegas, and he had this random subplot where he's just like, I poisoned the watering hole to kill off all the dinosaurs, that type of stuff. Like, I can't remember that actor's name now, but doesn't this sound like the exact same plot from that movie into this movie here? And crazy enough, that's not the weirdest thing that happens in this movie. So many different elements about this movie make no sense whatsoever. There are scenes in this film where things will happen, like, I always love that trope of, like, the cool hip guy, like the guy who has the original tuxedo, who's in this movie played by Jason Isaacs, who's kind of the parallel to James Bond. Like, every time he wears the suit, he's suave and sophisticated, and nothing bad ever happens to him. But then soon as somebody like Jackie Chan puts it on, like, hey, here's a thing where you can shake your booty. Like, here's a thing where you can, like, go crazy and destroy your house. It's just like I understand that he's putting on the suit for the first time, but it's just like, why would you even have those features on there? I mean, what situations are you going to need that in there to have that happen? And it's just it's a movie that probably has some good concepts overall that could make for a very interesting and engaging film, and yet it really just goes all over the place and just goes, you really have no idea what the hell is going on in this film at times. Like, there are times in this movie where, like, there's one scene I always remember. It's where, Jackie Chan is with this woman, not Jennifer Love Hewitt's character, but he's out at this bar and he meets this woman, and, like, he's like for some reason, I don't remember if I imagined this scene or not, but this scene gets a little too crazy for its own good. So they go up to this hotel room, and these bad guys end up coming after Jackie Chan's character. And, there's a point where, like, she's ready to go. Like, she's ready to just jump on Jackie Chan's character. And then these bad guys come up. And so he ends up fighting the bad guys with this thing called pants-only defense. And it's Jackie Chan doing Jackie Chan stunts. And in the background, you just hear her go, like she's ready to go. Like, she really wants Jackie Chan in that situation. And it's just the way that scene is shot, and it's just so weirdly put together, and it's just, like, it's one of the weirder scenes in the entire movie that always stuck with me for some reason. I don't know why, but it's just, like, it's a weird movie, to say the least. And I guess, to the credit of Jackie Chan, he's the one thing that does carry the movie through. He's doing the action sequences that we know he can do. I mean, he's a master at this type of stuff, but everything else about the movie just feels so weirdly put together and so off on so many levels. Like, it just doesn't feel like the pieces were there to make something really, really unique and incredible here. I mean, there's possibilities there. You could have a really fun parody comedy, maybe something on the lines of something like a Kung Fu Hustle that came out a couple years later, and I think did this whole concept here kind of a little bit better than this movie, because with that being a parody of mostly martial arts movies, and this one being a parody of spy films. But I don't know. I think they this probably needed another rewrite with probably a better director involved, maybe a better screenwriter overall to finally show what the possibility of this can really be. Because from what I got from this movie here, there really wasn't a whole lot there that I remember being that great. I mean, Jackie Chan's probably the only one thing about the movie that really carries the load. I don't really buy his chemistry with Jennifer Love Hewitt. Jennifer Love Hewitt's not bad in the movie, but she's just kind of in there to be the token love interest. And again, it kind of falls into predictable territory. You know there's going to be the liar reveal. You know there's going to be something that happens where the big twist comes out of nowhere that you can kind of figure out coming a mile away. And by the end, you just feel kind of like, I have no idea how I feel about this, except the fact that I saw it. I don't really have too much more to say about it, except that I saw it. It's a movie that, I can't say it's a bad movie, but I can't say it's a great movie either. It's a largely forgettable film. Like, I watch it once, it's like, okay, I watched it once. I will probably never watch this again in full length again. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's just one of those ones that, for some reason, stuck with me for some scenes, but nothing in particular I would say is something that you must check out. I guess if you're a die-hard Jackie Chan fan, maybe it's worth a one-time watch, but you're never going to watch this again after the first time. So, yeah, not much more to say about that one. That's the Tuxedo. Let's go ahead and move on to our last movie, which is Moonlight Mile.
Are hailing Moonlight Mile as hands down one of the very best films of 2002. 4 stars. It's an Oscar-worthy, exhilarating movie-going experience. Moonlight Mile, rated PG-13, starts Friday in select cities.
Third straight week looking at a movie with Susan Sarandon. I just realized that. We had Igby Goes Down a couple weeks ago, then The Banger Sisters, and now this. So I thought that was kind of amusing. But you also see Dustin Hoffman and Jake Gyllenhaal in there. The movie is based off of Brad Silberling's own experience dating Rebecca Schaefer, who, if you don't remember her, she was on the show My Sister Sam, and she was killed by an obsessed fan in 1989. So I guess this is a story about that, where you have a young man who lingers into the family home of his fiancée after her accidental death, and while grieving along with her parents and drawn into legal issues presented by a district attorney seeking justice for the family, he finds himself falling in love with another woman against his own best intentions. This is directed, like I said, by Brad Silberling, who gave us Casper and also City of Angels, and also features a cast that includes Holly Hunter, Ellen Pompeo, pre-Grey's Anatomy, Dabney Coleman, Richard T. Jones. Good actors involved here, and not a bad movie per se. Definitely not a melodramatic film that would probably be considered as too cliched riddle or Oscar bait, or even a movie like but I can't really say it's a great film either. It's just kind of like, it's fine for what it is. I think the performances overall are very good. I think the idea is very interesting and leads to a lot of potential enjoyment here, and there is some enjoyment in here. It does run a little bit too long, just a little bit over 2 hours. A story that feels like you could probably trim about 10 minutes off of it, and it probably would have been fine. As far as the rest of the film itself goes, it's just a fine film. It's nothing too significant, nothing too incredible that I would say is a must-see film. But, I mean, it's just fine for what it is. It definitely could have been a whole lot better, honestly, but it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. It's definitely one where I would say, kind of like with the Tuxedo, you watch it once, and it's really not going to leave much of a lasting impact on you, but you feel like this director's made so many other better movies. But there are some good elements to it, from the casting and the writing. The direction overall is probably the best thing about it, honestly, along with the casting in it. So, again, fine for what it is, but definitely could have been a whole lot better. I mean, it certainly could have been much worse, too. So, that is Moonlight Mile. And so with that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. The next time we meet, we'll take a look at the first 2 films of October 2002, including Anthony Hopkins returning as Hannibal Lecter in Brett Ratner's Red Dragon. And we also have the big screen debut of the VeggieTales, because clearly that was intended to be something that people wanted to see. We have Jonah, a VeggieTales movie. So we'll take a look at those 2 movies next time we meet on the show. So until then, thank you so much for watching. And if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and also don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this on this channel. So, with that said, I am off. I will see you guys next time, and until then, as always, take care.